is ACC Amit Kumar, and I'll discuss with you IFRS 15 revenue from contracts with customers. This standard is applicable around the world on 1st January 2018. Revenue from contracts with customers. This standard has made the life of an accountant easier. How it has made the life of an accountant easier? Because there's a lot of confusion in recognition of revenue. We had many standards to recognize revenue. There was a standard known as IS 18 revenue for sale of goods and rendering of services. Sale of goods, rendering of services, and for dealing with interest, royalties, and dividends. Now, for contractors, like there are people who were entering into contracts to construct a machine or a building, and they were earning on the basis of construction activity. So they were entering into construction contracts wherein they were fulfilling the requirements of the customer and they were earning revenue. Now, this was something which was being generated over a period of time, because the construction activity sometimes used to take more than 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years. So how the revenue gets recognized over a period of time which is taking longer than 1 year. If it is taking one year, we can recognize the revenue within the same year. There is no problem. But if the activity extends beyond 1 year, how to spread the revenue and cost of those activities over the periods over which this is happening. So especially for contractors, there was a standard known as IS 11 construction contracts. This was from the perspective of the contractors. In this also there used to be confusions. I discussed it previously as well, I'll repeat again. In this again, there used to be confusions that if we are constructing a building and we are a builder who constructs flats and we have 150 flats in the form of inventories, if we are selling those flats in the form of inventories and we give the possession to the customer only on completion of the project, will we consider it as part of a sale of goods? Will it be a construction contract? So according to the ease of the company, according to creative accounting, which benefited them, they were using this according to their convenience. So they were recording revenue in advance when they were not eligible for recording revenue, because if a customer buys a flat, the flat is going to be delivered after 3 years. But immediately when they enter into a contract to sell this flat, though it is not ready, some of the companies were recognizing revenue immediately in the year of getting into an arrangement with the buyer that we are going to sell this. But the buyer gets possession, buyer gets control of the flat after 3 years. So in reality, it was actually a sale of goods. It was not a construction contract, but they were recognizing it earlier than they were supposed to do so, which benefited them by smoothing their profits in advance. They were able to record revenue earlier, but that was not the way it should have been done. But there was a lot of confusion because they believed that since it is construction contracts, whosoever is into construction, they can use this standard of construction contracts and can recognize revenue on the basis of percentage of completion. So there was a method of percentage of completion which was based on cost basis, sales basis, and physical proportion of work completed. So they were using this to their advantage to record revenue in advance. Now, whenever there is a confusion in a standard, whenever there is an interpretation required, IASB issues interpretations if the standard itself is not able to convey it. If the standard completely needs to be revamped, they may come up with a revised standard, they may come up with a new standard on it. So this required an interpretation. So the interpretation issued regarding this was IFRS 15, IFRIC 15, agreements for construction and real estate. Agreements for construction in real estate, which said that if buyer has control over design and specification, if buyer has control over design and specifications, it is IS 11. If buyer has no control over design and specification, so the flat which was being sold by the builder, the buyer cannot make any changes in that flat. So he has shown that this is the kind of flat, this is the kitchen, this is drawing room. We are going to give you these things in the flat. If you're ready to buy, please buy it. So it's simply a sale of goods. So if buyer has no control over design and specification, it was actually sale of goods to be recorded under IS 18. So as I said, there was a lot of confusion. Like even if you are saying that it is a sale of goods concept is not applicable to IS 11. If you say it is a construction activity and you need to tell the world that you are using actually IS 11. In IS 11 again there was concept of rendering of services. The rendering of services looks like a construction activity, looks like a contract activity. The rendering of services could use the same percentage of completion as used in IS 11 construction contracts. It also had the same three bases: cost basis, sales basis, and percentage of work completed. That if you're providing any service, so there are two ways of earning revenue. One was sale of goods, one was rendering of services, one was interest, royalties, and dividends. If your rendering services means, suppose there's a mason who is not responsible for arranging the material, who's not responsible for arranging labor. His job is simply to complete the work. He will use his physical activity work to complete the job done as guided by the customer, that this is the building we need to construct. So mason is simply acting as a mediator who is not responsible for arranging material, who is not responsible for arranging labor, but he is responsible for constructing the building. So if he constructs the building, he'll charge for construction of the building only, but he's not responsible for any other thing, whether there is no availability of material, labor, all other things, the design specifications, everything is given by the customer, and he's responsible for providing his service of construction. So he could also use the percentage of completion for recording revenue if it is taking more than 1 year. So this confusion between rendering of services and construction activity was being used by some accountants to their advantage, because both had the same models, percentage of completion, and they could record it under either 11 or 18. So this confusion was eliminated somehow by IFRIC 15 agreements for construction in real estate, which said that if buyer has control over design and specification, now when buyer has control over design and specification means the customer gives a plan to the contractor that this is what I want. Now it is the responsibility of the contractor now to arrange for material, labor, everything required, machinery, everything required to get that project done. But buyer is controlling the design and specification. If there is any changes that may result in some variation in amount. Now construction contracts were of two types earlier. It was fixed price contracts and cost plus contracts. There is also a stage in the life of, if someone started construction, so if someone is building a rocket like Chandrayaan, they do not know how much will be the cost. So people who are involved into it, if someone enters into a contract activity that we have given it to Elon Musk and he is responsible for doing it for us, or whosoever in India, we have given it to a scientist and he works on project basis. But he is also not aware how much cost will be involved. So normally the arrangements, when we are not aware of how much cost will be involved, but we are simply have an idea that it will be around some billion or 3 billion or 4 billion, but not exactly aware of how much will it be. So normally those arrangements are cost plus contracts. Cost plus fixed fee or fixed percentage of cost. So whatever is the cost of the contract, they may have some percentage on it, or there may be fixed fee for whatever work they do. Fixed price contracts are in the open market when everything is known. That if you're constructing a building, everyone knows that how much will it cost. There may be some deviation, some variation, but more or less the market is open and everyone knows that if needing to construct a 200 square yard building, how much will it cost? The prices in the market are clear that it is going to cost per feet, per square meter. everyone is very clear about the fixed costs which are going to be incurred. So the party who wishes to get it constructed may also enter into fixed price contracts. But in case of fixed price contracts, there is a chance that the contractor may suffer losses if he enters into contract. If the material prices rises, if the labor prices rises, it may happen that the fixed price contracts may turn into loss. So IS 11 construction contracts was guiding on how to record these transactions, whether the outcome can be estimated reliably depending on whether, so I'll repeat it here only because it is similar to what we are doing now. So depending on whether outcome can be estimated reliably, the second scenario could be outcome cannot be estimated reliably. In case of fixed price contracts, you could estimate the outcome, that this is what is expected, this is the revenue you're expecting to earn, this is the cost you are expecting to incur on the project, and the project seems profitable. But it may happen that after 1 or 2 years, the same project which you were thinking is going to be profitable may turn into losses. So the outcome can be estimated reliably means either it is going to give you profit or either it is going to give you loss. Profit or loss. When we enter into the contract on day one, we seem that it is profitable because that's our calculations which have been communicated very clearly that we look profitable. It may turn into a loss-making contract if the labor prices rises, if the material prices rises, and whatever we expected is not in same lines as we expected it, and it has gone against us. So it may turn into a loss-making contract. In case of cost plus fixed fee or fixed percentage of cost, normally there's no profitability, or you cannot estimate whether it is going to result in a profit or loss, or either we have not got into that arrangement wherein, or we are in a situation wherein we cannot estimate what will be the outcome, whether it will result in a profit or loss. So the only option left is that when it is not estimated, we try to record, not to record any profit or loss. So we record costs which are incurred and revenue only to the extent of cost which we believe it to be recoverable. So normally in normal circumstances, it is believed that if we have incurred a cost of 50,000, we expect to recover 50,000. So revenue is recognized only to the extent of cost incurred. No profit, no loss situation, no profit, no loss. When outcome cannot be estimated reliably. One situation is when outcome can be estimated reliably. If you believe that the cost incurred is 50,000 and this is also not recoverable, if 50,000 cost is also not recoverable, then we may recognize a loss in that circumstance. If we believe that 50,000 is the cost incurred and only 40,000 is recoverable, then we may have to record a loss of 10,000, but there is no chance of profitability recording in this scenario. All this now is merged with IFRS 15. All this is merged with IFRS 15. The only thing which has changed is now it is revenue recognition, which is going to be, which is for performance obligations satisfied over a period of time. So construction activity was for more than 1 year or for over a period of time. So the rendering of services and construction goods, they are all performance obligations satisfied over a period of time. So can I club it into one? Rendering of services was also treated in the same manner. Percentage of completion, cost basis, sales basis, physical proportion of work completed. Construction activities were also being treated in the same manner, that there was an option of percentage of completion, and we could use 3 methods: cost basis, sales basis, physical proportion of work completed. So whatever it is, whether it is the service, whether it is a construction activity, if there is any performance obligation, so they have given a new name to all these activities. The new name given to all these activities is performance obligation. The performance obligation is a broader word which covers both rendering of services as well as construction activity, and this is performance obligations satisfied over a period of time. If you are told that now there is only one standard applicable and it is known as IFRS 15, revenue from contracts with customers, and you are not required to define whether it is IS 11 or 18, when the accounting treatment was same, can I call it performance obligation satisfied over a period of time and treat both kinds of performance obligations in the same manner, though they were being treated in the same manner. But as far as compliances are concerned, I'm declaring to the world that I'm using IFRS 15 revenue from contracts with customers, and the performance obligation I'm going to satisfy is going to be satisfied over a period of time. The method was similar. Does it make our life easier if instead of classifying it into 11 and 18, instead of rendering of services and construction activity or construction contract, actually it was construction contract, not just activity. The construction activity can be for your rendering of services as well. Construction contract where buyer has control over design and specification. If I name it performance obligation satisfied over a period of time, and if I give you more methods, not just cost basis, if I give more methods, input methods, output methods, if I give more methods of spreading the revenue and cost over a period of time, does it make my life easier? Does it give fairer presentation? What do you suggest? So it's going to make our life easier. And if I show you the input methods and output methods, like instead of just cost basis and sales basis, just have a look that if we have more methods now to spread the revenue and cost over a period of time,